Welcome to Claim Your Potential, the Empowerment Podcast. I'm your host, Sofie, and it's a pleasure to welcome you to our very first episode. Today, we're kind of going to do a different setup than what we'll usually be doing for these episodes. Usually, we'll have a guest speaker on, or we'll be very much in depth on a certain topic, whether that's financial freedom, personal branding, living your most authentic life, and a bunch of other topics that we're going to cover as we go on this journey to self-empowerment. But for today, I wanted to use this episode as a starting point, a jumping off point, a way for you all to get to know me and the experiences that I'm coming from as I start to put a lens or framework on this podcast and the topics that we talk about and the way in which we discuss them. So a little bit of a housekeeping thing. If you would like to stay up to date on what's going on with the podcast, maybe some sneak peeks into who our special guests will be, as well as announcements when new episodes come out, some behind the scenes, as well as some daily motivation, you can check us out on Instagram and Facebook at CSBB Podcast. That's CSBB Podcast. You can also send along an email. Our email is csbbpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to be a guest speaker, if you want to just, have a chat, if you want to maybe suggest some topics that you would like to see or not see here covered within this podcast, feel free to shoot over an email to that address or send along a direct message through our social media channels. Without further ado, let's jump into this podcast episode, starting the journey, recognizing when it's time for a change, and we're going to start putting ourselves and our happiness first. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was actually an experience that I was reflecting on recently. And when I was in high school, I was very involved in student government and pretty much spoke at every single school event you could possibly imagine. As you can probably guess, I was not super popular in high school. I was a bit of a nerd, but that's okay. Nerds are cool. They rule. Ooh, that rhymed. Anyways, when I was in high school, I spoke at a lot of school events. And a lot of the time I would get approached and people would ask me, Sofie, how do you do it? How are you not nervous? How are you speaking in front of all these people? How are you doing it? I just can't speak in front of people. I want to hear your advice. How do you deal with the nerves? And the truth is I don't. The truth is I am terrified of public speaking. I hate public speaking. In fact, I cannot speak in front of a group without getting so nervous that my heart pounds and I swear it's like 100 beats a second. And my mind gets all jumbled up and my head gets hot and everything that's going on in my brain, all the words just become jumbled. Everything that comes out of my mouth in my head sounds like I'm not making any sense whatsoever. And I tell people this, and they're always really surprised because I always public speak. And they're like, well, we don't understand. How are you public speaking, but you hate public speaking? Does not make any sense to me. And to me, it's always been, I'm going to do it anyways. Even though I'm afraid, I'm going to do it anyways because I know that in order to be successful in my academic career, in my professional career, and even within my personal relationships, I have to be able to be a good public speaker. Otherwise, I am not going to succeed. And I know that. And I've known that from a very early age. And I want to thank my mom for helping me with that and trying to drill it into my head that, hey, Sofie, you need to talk in front of people. You need to make sure that you can command your presence. You can command the space. And that's always what I try to do. And so when I'm public speaking, I try to boost my confidence by commanding the space, by presenting myself in a way like, hello, everyone, watch out. I'm here. This is my time to talk. This is my time to get what I need to say out. This is my time to show that I've thought about this, that I'm intelligent, that I can do this, that I know what's up. I mean, of course, you have to pick a time and a place for doing that. But when I pick the proper time, I feel like I can do that. And that's the only way that I've been able to get past my fear of public speaking. And even to this day, I am still terrified of public speaking. But I continue to do it because I want to do things that I'm afraid of. Because I know that is the only way that I'm not going to be afraid anymore. Because I don't want to live my life through a fear-based motivation. We have fear-based motivation and we have goal-based motivation. Fear-based is doing things simply because you're scared of the alternative, right? So maybe you're picking a job because you're scared to be homeless. You are going to a certain university because you don't want to disappoint your parents. You are in a relationship because you're scared of being alone, right? A lot of the time we do things because we are scared of the alternative. We're scared of, well, what happens if I don't do this? What happens? No, it's almost as if nobody knows. But the truth is, you will know. There's a very easy way to find out what happens if you don't do something or what happens if you do something. The answer to that question is very simple. It's you do it. You get it done. You take a chance. Life is all about taking a chance on what you want. And that's how you shift from fear-based to goal-based. Every day you wake up with two options, evolve or repeat. Do you want to repeat the same old habits? Do you want to repeat the same routine every single day? Do you want to still be afraid to take chances 10, 20, even 30 years down the line? Do you want to live a life of fear? I'm guessing your answer to that's no. In that case, why are we still letting fear dictate our day-to-day lives? We should be waking up and choosing to evolve, choosing to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to do something different today. Even if it's not a career change or a relationship change or something big, it can still be something small. Like, I'm going to try a new coffee shop this morning. Or I'm going to have something different for breakfast. I'm going to take a different route on the way to work or class. Even the smallest changes to your day-to-day routine. Things that make you feel excited. Or if you want to talk about improving habits, maybe instead of having coffee in the morning, you have a protein shake or a green smoothie. Or instead of stopping by that fast food restaurant after work or after class, maybe you go home and make a nice home-cooked meal. Small improvements, whether it's to your health or just to your overall excitement for the day, that is you evolving. And I encourage all of you tomorrow when you wake up to choose evolve. To not do the same thing, to push past the fear, to say, hey, look, I know I'm afraid to do this, but you know what? I'm just going to go for it and do it anyways, because frankly, life is too short to not. To always wonder, what would my life have been like if I had done X? Or what could have happened? Where could I be now if I had just done Y? Another thought that I was thinking about recently is this concept of expiration dates. And how, we have expiration dates in our, fruit and whatever we buy from the grocery store, and we stick it in our fridge. Everything pretty much has an expiration date. And I was thinking about this and how it applies to people, and how people, in fact, have expiration dates. And the way that I was thinking about it is that, let's say you have an apple in the fridge, and that apple expires. And you just leave that apple sitting in the fridge. After a week, it's going to start to smell. It's going to start to basically contaminate the entire fridge. And what if we applied that to the people in our lives, right? There's people in our lives that they aren't who they used to be. or they're not contributing to our life in the way that maybe they used to, or that maybe in a way we thought that they did. Maybe they are more negative now, or we're noticing that we're taking on some of their bad habits and we're starting to do those bad habits as well. Maybe we're becoming more negative like them, or maybe they're just not a supporter anymore. Maybe they're just not that friend or that partner or that family member or whomever that's sitting on the sideline and saying, hey girl, you got this, you can do this. Sometimes friendships, relationships, any kind of relationship, whether it's platonic, romantic, or familial, sometimes it gets to that point where they just aren't supporting you anymore. They aren't motivating you. They aren't being positive with you. And when you think about creating the life that you want positive people. You want people cheering you on. You want people saying, yeah, I'm so proud of you. You can do this. Or when you maybe have a hiccup or a failure, people saying, you know what, you can do this. You can get back up. No worries. You need people like that in your life, especially as you start this journey to empowerment. And sometimes people are going to expire. People are going to start to rot up the fridge. People are going to start smelling up your life and contaminating it. And you have to realize when those people when their time is over, when they've expired from your life, you have to let them go. I think this is a very famous saying, and it's people come into your life for a reason, season, or a lifetime. And in terms of expired people, they are a reason or a season. Now, hopefully they're a reason. Hopefully, maybe you learn something about yourself, whether it's, oh, I need to choose my friends more carefully, or you learned about, your priorities and your values, or you learned how to focus on yourself a little bit more, or even you learned about a new coffee shop or a restaurant that's now your favorite spot ever and you frequent it. And it's, it can be as small as that. But people come into your life a lot of the time to teach you something about yourself. And once those people have taught you what you need to know, what they have been put in your path to teach you, it's time to let them go, because they are there for a reason. They're not there for a lifetime. They're not going to be a lifetime relationship. And that's okay, because not everybody is meant to be in your life forever. That's not how relationships are supposed to work. Now, I hope that somebody is in your life, at least one person, quality over quantity, at least one person in your life that you can always count on. And for me, that's my mother. For me, I have a very close relationship with my mother, and I know that no matter what fight we have or disagreement or argument or anything, that at the end of the day, we're both going to come together and say, hey, look, I love you. I'm going to support you no matter what. I'm here for you. You are my life partner. Like, I am with you. This is a lifetime friendship. I consider my mom my best friend, but you can have whatever life relationship that works for you. And, when you start thinking about the people in your life, I'm sure there's already somebody that's coming to mind as you're hearing this, and you're like, oh, maybe that person is a little bit too negative, or, oh, maybe that person isn't the best influence on me, or, oh, maybe that person is kind of holding me back or showing a lot of jealousy towards me, or making me feel bad for making money, or making me feel bad for going on trips or having nice things, or whatever the situation is. And if there is somebody already coming to mind, then I hate to break it to you, but they're expired. It's time to cut that cord, time to let them go. And as you go on this journey, people will come and go from your life. People will start using that you changed as an excuse for why they treat you the way they do, why they might not talk to you as much or invite you out, why they might start slowly backing away from your life or becoming more negative and more toxic. But the truth is, you are not changing. You are simply reevaluating your priorities and choosing to stick to your priorities. You are becoming focused. You are leveling up, so to speak. But who you are at your core doesn't truly change. You didn't change who you are simply by wanting a better life for yourself. And if people in your life can't get behind that, if the people in your life can't support you choosing to live a happier, more fulfilled life, then they don't belong in your life. It's time to let them go. I mean, we have to understand that there are going to be people that expire. And that's okay. And in order to live your most authentic life where you feel truly happy and content and at peace, you can't have expired people in it. Something also that I think happens to a lot of us, myself included, when we, lose a friendship or lose a partner or lose any kind of relationship, whether we cut them out of our life or they cut us out of their life, we go searching for somebody new. And what I really, really, really want to iterate is now isn't the time to find a new partner or a new best friend. Now is finally the time to find you, to figure out who you are and who you want to be. I mean, I cannot say this enough, but Disney really ruined a lot. One thing being that everyone needs a savior, especially women. We are conditioned to believe that we need a knight to come and rescue us from the tower. But why can't we just climb down ourselves? Now is the time to start becoming your own savior, to stop relying on the people in your life to create the life that you want. I mean, do you hear kind of how silly that sounds, that we put so much validation and happiness into other people, and we think that we need this person in our life in order to have our dream life? We're giving away our power to somebody else, and that's not how we should be doing it, especially when we want to create a life that we haven't quite created for ourselves yet. And while, yes, having people you love to share your life with is important, but they cannot be the only thing that is keeping you focused. You cannot live your entire life for somebody else. I think that's something that, at least what I found in my last relationship, was that I was connecting my own happiness to his happiness. And if he wasn't happy, I wasn't happy. And I was constantly changing my mind about things and changing my plans and changing my future because I wanted for us to be together. I wanted to make him happy. I wanted to do things that would be easiest for him. And I essentially planned my entire life around somebody that deep down I knew wasn't going to be with me for life. I knew very early on in that relationship that he had already expired and I was letting him rot up the fridge. And it's when you give your power away and saying, I'm going to connect my happiness to you, that we get into these situations where we lose sight of who we are. And this is probably the best advice that I've gotten in a very long time. But it's, you have to decide what kind of life you actually want. And then you have to say no to everything that isn't that. Say no to things that don't bring you joy. Say no to things that you genuinely just don't want to do. Say no to things that don't spark a fire in you, that don't ignite passion, that don't make you feel motivated, that don't make you feel at peace. They don't belong in your life. And that's okay, because not everything is meant to belong in your life. What works for some people might not work for you. And that's okay, because every single person is different and the needs of every single person is different. And so as we go throughout this podcast and you hear from our guest speakers and we dive into a lot of these topics more in depth, a lot of the advice and experiences that we're talking about are not one size fits all. Everything's not going to apply to you or apply to your friend or apply to every single listener the same way, or if at all. But what they aim here to do is to provide perspective, to provide experience, to say, here, hey, look, this is what I went through. This is how I addressed it. It worked for me. Maybe it might work for you. If it doesn't, at least use this thought process to figure out how to get there. And something else in terms of people, because I think that our relationships with those around us are incredibly important to our success. As you go throughout this journey and people start noticing, because not everyone, but some people are going to notice that you're becoming a lot more confident, you're becoming happier, you're becoming a better version of yourself. People are going to notice that, and people are going to tear you down, or at least try to, because there will always be people out there that are jealous of your success and your happiness. And you must be unshakable, because people will try to shake you. People are going to try to take you down and say, look, this person's happy, I'm going to drag them down with me. I'm unhappy, I want to make this person feel unhappy. I want to make them feel my pain so that I don't feel bad about being unhappy. And unfortunately, those people do exist. And if you cannot filter them out of your life, then you must be unshakable, because they will drag you back down to where you started faster than you can say hello. To get to the point where I'm at right now, it took me losing what I thought was the greatest love of my life. And I know that sounds silly because, young love, but when you're in your first really serious relationship, it becomes so easy to plan your whole life around them and to truly believe that they are the one, they are going to be with you forever. And it took me losing that person to see that I already had the greatest love of my life. And that's myself. Because lovers, partners, friends, whoever are going to come and go from your life. But your relationship with yourself is forever. You are the one and only person that you spend all of your time with. You are the one and only person that you will be with your entire life, a lifetime relationship. So why do we live for other people? Why do we let other people dictate our happiness? Why are we prioritizing the love and happiness of others and forgetting about our own? Why do we spend our time looking for love and validation when the only love and validation we need is from ourselves? Because we are the greatest love of our life. And we need to do things that make us happy, that make us feel fulfilled, that make us feel beautiful, that make us feel healthy, that make us feel strong, confident, empowered. When you are designing your life, and as we go throughout this journey together of designing your truest, most authentic life, I want you to keep that in mind, that you are designing your life. You are working on you, your happiness, what you want out of this life. For the time that you have on earth, what do you want to gain? What are your goals? What have you always wanted to do? What's your bucket list like? And I encourage you all to think about that and reflect. And just keep that in the back of your mind for when we come back on October 2nd for our next podcast episode. That concludes this podcast episode. Thanks for listening. If you're enjoying our show, you can also visit our website, claimyourpotential.com, to access our blog, listen to previous and future episodes, leave a review, and subscribe to our newsletter. For more content, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Claim Potential for inspiration, episode and blog post announcements, episode excerpts, along with other content for you to reach your full potential. A free way to support our show is by leaving it a rating and review on the podcast streaming platform of your choice. If you're not sure how to do this, you can head over to the Leave a Review page on our website for instructions. Thank you, everyone, and tune in next time where we'll continue to learn how you can claim your potential.